Infinity Studios at WVON.
We're your original social media.
You're listening to Inspirational Perspective with Linnell Harris on 1690, The Talk of Chicago.
About it. Come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dreams. Now, open your mind to a better life. It's time to live your dream. Let's slay your goals, let your greatness flow with inspirational perspective.
Good morning, Chicago. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linnell Harris, your very own life coach right here on WVON 1690 AM, The Talk of Chicago. Inspirational Perspective on your radio is all about murdering mediocrity and living the best life possible. So as I ask you every Sunday morning, are you living the best life possible? And this is the place to be to explore that possibility. Well, good Sunday morning, everyone. It's another beautiful Sunday, and August 16th, halfway through the month of August already, and I'm excited about what I'm talking about this morning. And let me real quick just share kind of my thought process around this. So for those of you who listen every Sunday, you listened last week, you're probably like, hey, we're going to talk about self-discipline today. And actually, I'm going to pause on that conversation because last week we talked about vision. And we talked about vision, but I noticed that in talking about vision, I really didn't talk about how to set a vision. So, and let me back up even more. So one of the things we're discussing now, in many ways you could say this is a 7-part series or the 7 steps to personal development. And I was listening to the show last week, after the show. And I was thinking to myself, I don't believe I gave vision its due. Like how powerful vision is and why vision matters so much and how to create a vision and how vision has a transformative nature on any human being that adopts that way of seeing the world. And so I thought to myself, man, you got to go back. You got to go back. You have to talk about vision for a couple of reasons, because I battle with it all week. And that's why I'm so sure this is the topic for today. And then next week we'll get into self-discipline, depending on how well I can get through the material I have for you guys today on vision. And by the way, man, this is, well, let me put it like this. To really put this in perspective, okay? For the last 6 weeks, since the beginning of July, I have put all of my free time, just about all of my free time, into crafting my vision, the vision I have for my life in the next 5 years. So let me say this again. So you guys really get how important this is and why I'm coming back and saying, hey, we talked about vision last week, but we scratched the surface. And I wanted to get into self-discipline. I got phenomenal notes on self-discipline. So by all means, coming back next week, we will have that conversation, okay? But vision, Let me real quick. I'm just going to. I'm looking here on my computer right now, and what I want to do is I want to share with you, in some ways, some of the work I did on my own personal vision. I'm just going to give it high level, okay? High level, some of the work that I've done on my own personal vision, just to bring this full circle, so you all understand why I believe this is so important, okay? Now, when you talk about vision, there's a number of ways that you can do this, okay? The way that I've done it is I've broken it down into 12 different categories. And I had some help doing this, but I broke it down to 12 different categories, and this is why it took me 6 weeks to really craft out what the vision for my life is, right? And this including conversations with Pam, my wife. But the first thing I did was I concentrated on my vision, and you want to write these categories down, by the way, okay? And then we're gonna get into the teaching. But the first thing I did is I identified these 12 categories. I got some coaching, right? Talk about coaching all the time. I identified these 12 categories. And here, I want to share the categories with you guys. The first one that I really looked into was my health and well-being. I talk about that all the time, health and well-being, but health and well-being. And I began to craft the vision I have for that, for my life. Like, how do I want my health and well-being to show up? And how does it connect to my life's purpose? And what are my foundational beliefs around health and well-being to help support the vision that I'm creating? Then the second area I looked at was my learning, my intellectual life, like how I learn and how I'm developing my mind, and what's my vision for my life in that area. Okay, and I'm dropping this on purpose. Okay, so those two areas, health and well-being, intellectual. Then I said, okay, after doing that, let's go ahead and concentrate on my emotional life. Yes, my emotional life. Like, how do I want to develop my emotions? Why is that important? I tell you guys all the time that emotions are energy in motion. So what is the vision that I have for my life around the energy that I put in motion in my life? What vision do I have in terms of, like, how do I want to feel a year from now, 6 months from now, 5 years from now, onward and onward. Okay. So my emotional life. Then I dropped in and I said, okay, what about my character? Like, what kind of man do I want to be? What's my vision for my character? And one of the things, and this is one of the reasons I'm coming back full circle again, one of the things I really honed in on was self-discipline, like really understanding and knowing and figuring out how to implement the art of self-discipline in my life in a way that helps me create the vision. All right, so my character was another area I dived into in terms of my vision. Then I spent a lot of time on my spiritual life. What do I believe spiritually to the depths of my soul? What do I believe? Like, really gaining clarity on that. And then where do I want this to go? How do I want this to develop? And let me tell you, man, doing this around my spiritual life was transformative. It had me thinking about things that I think often we allow ourselves to be distracted from, because we don't really want to dive into who we are spiritually. We've talked a lot about that. And so my spiritual life was another area where I spent a lot of time honing my vision for my spiritual life, who it is that I intend to be spiritually. Remember, that's the most powerful part of who it is that we are. Okay. Then I looked at my love relationship with my wife. And it's interesting, and I'll be fully transparent. It's interesting because by the time I got to this point, anyone who's married, anyone who's in a relationship, that relationships go through cycles. And Pam and I were in a tough cycle at the time. And this is maybe about 5 weeks ago, in a really tough cycle. And so I'm going through, and it's funny because I believe this is how life works, right? All the resistance will show up in love and relationship when I turn my attention from a vision perspective towards love and relationship. But by the time I crafted the vision, it actually gave me the clarity I needed to actually shift us out of that cycle incredibly quickly. Like, oh, wait a second, what's going on here? Like, no, that's not the vision. And what the beauty of it is, I have the shift on paper, right? Like what I intend, what I want to build with my wife, which is really, I want to continue to build on what I believe is just a magical, wonderful relationship. I feel incredibly blessed. Then I looked at my parenting, right? And our parenting. And what it is that we want to achieve with Legend, but not just Legend, because we do plan to have another child. And so what do we want to create with our children? Like, what's the vision? And what type of parents do we want to be? But also, what type of people do we want our children to be? Like, that's a vision. That's a vision. And if you just tuned in, stick with me. We're talking about how to create life's vision. I'm going to really dive into this. Then from the parenting, I went into my social life. And it's interesting. I've never put this much intention around my social life before, ever. Now, I'm pretty clear on what I want to create socially. But in terms of actually crafting a vision and fully relating it to my purpose, getting incredibly clear about who it is that I would call friend, I haven't done that. And what the conditions of satisfaction are for friends, I haven't done that. And what I want them to bring to me and what I believe I can bring to them. And so I took that on, really creating a vision for my social life. And then from there, I tapped into my financial life. And where do we want to go? Like, where are we looking to go financially in the next 6 months, in the next year, in the next 3 years, in the next 5? And really, what are the goals? Like, so what is that? Here are the numbers, but not just that, right? But what are my foundational beliefs about money? And I plan to talk about money in the future, and I have some guests coming on. And we're really going to talk about money beliefs and why many of us are where we are financially based on those beliefs, but also based on the lack of vision we have around our finances. For instance, like many of us really don't understand our own money and where that money is and how it's working or whether it's working. We put it off on a lot of other people. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Today we're talking about vision, but I created a vision for my financial life. And then after creating the vision for my financial life, I then stepped into what do I want the quality of my life to look like? The quality of my life. Many of you know I love to travel. I love experiences. And so how do I want that to play a part of my life? Not even from our home and the experience of our home, where we want to live in the future. What does that look like? And so the quality of my life. And then the last thing I focused on was my overarching life vision. Overarching, including all those different areas and really combining them. Okay. So, after spending 6 weeks and countless hours on my own life vision, hopefully you guys get why I'm circling back on this. I'm like, wait a second. I'm not, I'm committed to more than that for this audience. I'm committed to so much more than this for this audience. And finishing it up, I just finished up this work. And I'm going to tell you, as a coach and somebody who's dived into personal development for the last 2 decades, deeply for the last 2 decades, this has been some of the most transformative work I have ever done. I'll probably say second to the introduction of coaching itself into my life. Some of the most transformative work I've done. I actually took it on with a colleague, and him and I both were talking about the nature of and the power of vision. like just really articulating our vision for the future. Okay. So here I am now, and let me tell you, I'm motivated and inspired in ways I haven't felt maybe in the last 5 years to go after this vision. And I really want to pour this motivation, this inspiration, and this feeling I have in my spirit on all of you all. If you're up for it, if that's something you want, if you're up for it. For those of you on Facebook, if that's something you want, just hit the like button or hit the heart button and let me know. By the way, we're streaming live right here in the Xfinity Studios on Facebook at Linnell Harris. And so you can go check the show out there. 6 weeks. Somebody on Facebook says 6 weeks. Yes, 6 weeks. When I tell you 6 weeks, my free time, like between clients, when I didn't have to email somebody or work on something or create some type of curriculum, was thinking about my life's vision. By the way, let me tell you how deep I went in. For the last 6 weeks, if you're on my mailing list, my email list, you didn't get an email. You didn't get one email from me over the last 6 weeks because I was completely, fully focused on growing myself. Growing myself. Let me tell you something, man. Coming out of this, I mean, I'm on fire. I feel phenomenal. And I'm clear. More than anything, you guys, I'm incredibly clear on where I'm looking to go, on where I'm looking to take my family, on where I'm looking to take the people that I support and lead as coach. I'm incredibly clear. So I was still battling. Get this, though. After all that, I was still battling. And this is how resistance works, you guys. I was still battling the concept of kind of going back and talking about vision. Like, well, I don't want to do that. So last night, I'm looking over notes, the self-discipline notes and the vision notes. And I put vision in the search bar in my computer for everything that I've ever written about vision. I'm just kind of looking through it. And some old notes from 2013 popped up. And this is what pushed me overboard. I want you all to really listen to this. So I'm looking at these notes, and I came across a few notes that I took back when I had the opportunity to meet the late, great, well, actually, he's still with us, Harry Belafonte. He's just not doing as much work as he used to do. But Harry Belafonte, okay? And I met Harry Belafonte in Milwaukee. And that meeting changed my life. It changed me. Because the thing that happened that evening is he shared a perspective that made me uncomfortable in my role as a corporate America perspective that evening. And that's where I had always had a vision to leave corporate America. And the vision was, I'll talk about this later, the vision was to leave by the age of 45, okay? But I hadn't considered leaving sooner until I met Harry Belafonte. And I want to talk a little bit about what he talked about and what that has to do with vision. So really what Mr. Belafonte did is he added fuel to my fire and empowered my vision. And so I want to share the notes that I read last night that he shared with us that day. And what changed me in such a profound way and why I launched into entrepreneurship so quickly. And here are the high levels of what he shared, okay? What Mr. Belafonte said was, for the U.S. to have the largest prison population in the world should be of grave concern to all of us. And by the way, this is not the topic. I just want to give context around what he shared and why it changed me. And then he went on to say the majority of whom in this prison complex are people of African American descent or Afro descent and Hispanic ethnic origin. And he would go on to talk about the civil rights movement, and he says something I think is really important in terms of that civil rights activists today should never go to sleep. Otherwise, they will be jarred awake by injustice. And here we are, where we are, right? This was back in 2013, 7 years ago. Mr. Belafonte went on to say that post-racialism is a decisive use of language to make young people believe that acts of hate and racism are just normal happenings. And then he went on to cite how this is going on in the prison industrial complex. 6 to 7% of the individuals in prison are murderers and rapists. So they belong there. 6 to 7%. So then he went on to say, so what about the other 94%? They are mostly victims of poverty and misguided in a way that found them via circumstance outside of the law. He says, so why am I talking about this as a former entertainer and civil rights activist? Now, he went on to say, well, I'm talking about this is because I believe that artists are the keepers of social justice. But then he also went on to say that he believes that entertainers, as an entertainer, he said, I believe that entertainers were put here to keep the Europeans that founded the country happy and those of Afro descent and other descents mindless. Let me say that again. Let me say this again. He said that he believed that the purpose of entertainment in the United States of America is to keep those who founded the country happy, right? Happy, and to socialize those of African descent, those of Hispanic ethnic origin, and anyone else that didn't found this country mindless. Like basically telling them in many ways the role that they should play in this society. Mindless. Another way of putting this in terms of the context of what we're talking about today, another way of putting this is visionless. To leave them visionless. Allow the television to tell them their vision so that they will be visionless. All right, so I'm reading this last night, and I'm just considering like, man, I'm pretty sure what I need to talk about tomorrow is vision. But let me go on, because this is the part that changed my life and pushed my vision forward in many ways. Let me move on. These are the words of Harry Belafonte, the notes I took when I met him. He then went on to say that corporate backlash is not new, because corporate backlash, the first major corporation was the corporation of slavery in these United States. And slavery was a huge economic and corporate profit machine. And then he went on to say that to fear corporate backlash is to bow to the whip of slavery. And let me just tell you where I was in 2013. I had just met my wife. I was planning to propose. I felt comfortable with my corporate salary. And I was, as he was saying this to myself, I could feel that as I began to move into a new place in my life, get married, potentially have children, that if I stayed tethered to the corporate system, and by the way, this is me, this is my opinion, and this is what I was going through. Some of us are still there, and I get that. But on a personal level, I felt if I stayed tethered to the corporate system, after hearing Mr. Belafonte's words, that it would be a disservice to me and a disservice to my purpose. Because in no way did I ever want to find myself bowing to avoid the whip, right? Bowing in many ways to avoid corporate backlash. And what he said is to fear corporate backlash is to bow to the whip of slavery. He then went on to say some other things that are incredibly important, but I don't have the time to share it. And I just want to jump to the part that really, really transformed me. And this is what he said. Actually, well, I'm looking through these. There is something else I want to share. So just give me a moment here. So this is what he shared. He said, what more evidence do we need that we have exploited the planet? We've exploited ourselves. We've exploited other people. And that it's time to change. And then he went on to say this, you all. Then he went on to say this. The power of media has blinded our thoughts and handicapped our capacity to think. We need a vision. You need a vision. Harry Belafonte. Now, those of you on Facebook, you saw a picture of me and Harry Belafonte. And I want to talk about that picture because he spoke to a small group of us. And afterwards, he signed a book for me that I brought in. And I was, I believe, the only brother outside of himself in the room. And so when I walked up to him, he pulled me really close, right? We were taking a picture and he pulled me really close. And he whispered in my ear, "Hey, little brother, it's good to see you. I'm happy that you're here. I was looking for you." Because it's always good to see someone else that looks like me. And then the last thing he said is, "You need a vision. Please, please, I hope you have a vision." We took the picture and other people, surrounded him. But I'll never forget that night. And so as I was kind of going back and forth in my mind about what we would talk about today, after seeing these notes, I knew that vision was the thing. And I really want to dive into how to create a vision with the rest of our time. You see, here's the thing. As humans, we live in stories. We live in stories. As humans, we've told our history through stories. History is his story. But see, there's a story that happens first before it becomes the past. Before it becomes history, there's a story that happens first. And it's a story that we tell ourselves in our minds about what we will achieve and what will happen and what the future looks like for our lives. Because as humans, the only thing we know how to do is tell ourselves a story. And this morning, one of the things I want to ask you is, what story are you telling yourself about your future? What vision do you have? What story? See, because here's the thing, 50% of our brain power is given to the interpretation and the working of what we see. 50%. And I'm not just talking about what you see with the eye. The eye is nothing more than an organ that reflects and sends signals. It's the mind that sees. It's the mind that sees. So 50% of your brain's capacity is given to the function of the mind to interpret what it is that you see. If this doesn't tell you that vision is powerful, I don't know what else. And this is why I'm rotating back. 2020, in many ways, I've said this before, 2020 in many ways is a consequence of our own declarations and our own vision. You say, Linnell, I didn't envision me staying in the house, but you envisioned a life with clarity. You envision being able to have 2020 vision. You envision spiritual awareness. Now you say, well, that's not what I was asking for. Right, but you said you wanted clarity. You wanted 2020 vision going into 2020. You said that 2020 was going to change everything. You said that 2020 was the year that you would step up in brand new ways. And let me tell you something, man. Many of us don't realize that our biggest breakthroughs come from also our worst breakdowns. I don't know about you, but I've been talking to clients. I've been talking to people. We're in August of 2020. And I know a lot of people who are intentional who've been having breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough. Despite the circumstance, despite the situations around us, we asked for this. We wanted it. Now we have it. Now we're collectively coming out the fog. Collectively coming out the fog. The spiritual shift has lifted the veil. You asked for it. Now I don't like what I see. I don't like what I see. Okay. Well, we also get to create what's next. So now that you can see what happens next, you create that. You stressed? You can't handle what you see? You're a creator. Take on the full responsibility. Create your best life. See your vision clearly. Know your mission. Create your strategy. Execute on the plan. We're going to come back to that. But see, we're talking about seeing your vision right now. Know your mission is your purpose. Create the strategy. That's goal setting. Execute on the plan. That's action. We'll get there. But see, here's the thing. There's no plan without vision. There's no plan without vision. All transformation starts with vision. And by the way, let's be clear. Most of us want to transform. Most of us. I'm not saying everybody, because there's people out there who are very comfortable with where they are. They don't want to do anything different. And if they do, like if there is a desire, they don't even have the discipline. I want to, but it's too hard. But the rest of us, most of us, we want the transformation. But here's the thing, very few are willing to do the work. Again, somebody said 6 weeks, Linnell, 6 weeks on crafting your life's vision in 12 different categories. 6 weeks, yes. Because I understand that when I put the work in up front, man, beautiful things happen on the other side. This has been the formula. This has been my formula. Yes, 6 weeks. So what's the work? Number one, see the vision. That's what we're going to talk about today. Number two, know the mission, which is your purpose. I'm going to do everything I can to help you in the next few months with that. Number three, create the strategy, goal setting. I already got vehicles for that. All you got to do is go to Slay Your Goals. I'll put the link in Facebook on the break, slayyourgoals.com. Grab the book for free. So create the strategy, set your goals, and then get into action, execute on the plan. Now, here's the thing. At birth, everything starts out pure. Think about it. At birth, we have a very clear vision. That vision is to survive. Now, I want you to think about this, right? Because your vision on a very elementary primary level is simply to survive. And if that's the only vision you have today, you're operating like a baby. I want to be clear. You're operating like a baby because a baby's vision is very clear. And all they have two things that they're concerned about. Their vision of the future is to eat and to stay close to mama. You ever take a young baby away from their mother? Oh, the baby's so cute. Let me hold her. Let me hold him. Let me hold her. As soon as you get that baby in your arms, that baby's sensory system goes into shock. Something smells different. Wait, because babies, when they're first born, they can't see well. Something smells different. Wait, oh, let me listen to the heart. Their ear is against your chest. Wait a second. That's not my mama's heart. You start to hear them irritated. You start bouncing the baby around trying to distract it. Baby's like, you can't fool me. I'm clear on what I want. I'm clear on where I want to go. I want to eat and I want my mama. I want to eat and I want my mama. God put that in us. He put that, the Creator put that in us because he knew, hey, for you to survive, you need vision. That's what a baby wants. Then we grow. And we're bombarded by information, disinformation, misinformation, television, telecommunication, and socialization. We're bombarded. And our personal vision becomes blurred by bizarre interference, which causes fear and lack of confidence in ourselves. Thus, we don't have a vision. Because when I can't trust myself, I can't trust what I see. And when I can't trust what I see, I'm not going to sit there and visualize the future. Because I can't even trust what I see with my eyes open. Why would I close my eyes and try to plant something brand new in my subconscious vision? Because I can't trust the world I see right around me in this present moment. So how do I have time to try to create something for the future? But you're still operating like a baby. So today, I want to ask the question. I want to help you really come up with the answer for what's your vision? Like what's your life's vision? This is one of the first questions I ask every client that expresses some level of frustration due to not knowing how. Linnell, I don't know how. I say, well, how is a distraction? How is a distraction? Stop worrying about how and focus on your vision. See, because the thing is, you can't create what you can't see. So it doesn't matter if you don't know how to create it. The first thing is you got to see it. You have to see it. A vision that is mentally and emotionally compelling will always strengthen your will. What's the will? What's the will? Let's go back to what we learned a few weeks ago. The will lives between the spirit and the soul, the upper and lower will. We talked about that. So think of your vision strengthens the connection with your spirit. Why? Because you're a creator. And so when you close your eyes and say, this is what I want to create in my life that's aligned with my purpose, with God's given purpose for me. So I know my purpose. I know God's will for my life. And so based on that, this is what I create. This is what I should create. When you can see that in your mind's eye, you're strengthening. You're strengthening the connection you have to your spirit as a creator. Years ago, I cast a vision and I created a goal to be financially free and independent of a job and building my own companies by the age of 45. Put this vision out there. I exceeded that goal. Thank God. Thank God for that. I exceeded that goal. I believe it has everything to do with His purpose for my life. And I left corporate America at 39 years old. Saturday, if it's the will of the Creator, I will be 44 years old. I had no idea how. I didn't know how to leave corporate America. Man, I felt stuck. I felt completely trapped. So I know how it is to feel trapped. I know how it is to not know how, to set a vision that seems so far out of reach. I get it. I had no idea how. But goals aren't about knowing how you are. They're about vision. So as we go to the top of the hour, over this break, I really want you to be thinking about, what's my vision? What's my vision for life? What are my goals? Like, what goals do I have? And are my goals actually aligned with a vision that is crafted for the fulfillment of my life's purpose? What's my 5-year vision? Where do I want to be in 2025? What is it that I want to be doing? How do I want to be using the gifts God gave me? My talents, my strengths. What role do I want to play? What's my vision 3 years from now in 2023? August 2023. Where do I want to be? What's my vision in 2021, 1 year from now? What do I want to be creating? Where do I want to be? What's my vision 6 months from now? March or February 2021. What do I want my reality to be? And here's the thing. Don't allow your fears to amend the vision. Don't allow your fears to amend the vision. Create the vision afraid. We all should have a vision that is so powerful, so vast, that it just makes you nervous thinking about it. That's how you know you've created the right vision. When we come back, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linnell Harris, your very own life coach, right here on WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. Don't change that dial. Today is all about how to create your life's vision. We'll be right back. All right, good morning, you guys. How you doing? We check in, see if there's any questions. And we drop a few links in here as well. So let me know if you guys have questions. Vision, man. Let me tell you. I was going to stay with the program. Kept hitting me. It kept just bouncing in my spirit. I couldn't
The talk
be
of
settled.
Chicago and the voice of the nation.
It felt real easy. It felt real easy just to go ahead and move right into self-discipline, man. Something was like, nah, that's not it. You got to go back. So here we are. And I hope it's hitting home, man. All right. Well, you know what? I know it's hitting home. I know that it's hitting home. I know that it's hitting home. Sorry about that. I know that it's hitting home. Okay, so let's do this. Let's see what questions you all have. I want to drop a few things in here. Let's see.
Southern California and Arizona, you're talking triple digits, but even places like Seattle.
And Perry, stop calling me. I'm still on the air, man. I'm still talking to Facebook. That's Perry interrupting this, y'all.
For other areas, but it is for them.
Hey Pam, text Perry and tell her to stop calling me. I'll call her after this. All right, here, let's do this. Okay, so first thing, I want to get these little links in, and then let's have a conversation. I want to see what you guys are talking about here.
Back into session to deal with a growing postal service crisis. They met by conference call last night.
Let's see.
President
So
Trump
this
was
first
asked about
piece.
the performance yesterday of the Postmaster General.
All right, so for the goal setting part, that's there.
But again, he needs money to operate.
And
Him with millions of
also,
dollars. And if you ask him, he will tell you, and he'll tell you very
I want to put
nicely,
this in.
you have the money, it's sitting there, it's ready to go.
Oh, I see some good questions. I love it. All right, let's talk about these questions real quick. Let's talk about these questions.
For the November presidential election. The man who has led the Federal Bureau of
Pat, I see yours.
series of temporary orders for more than a year is reportedly not going to have a chance to be Senate
Okay,
confirmed.
so Pat, I see yours. How do you break the media TV habit? So I don't want to jump over next week's topic because we're going to talk about self-discipline. And next week, I'm going to really break down how to begin breaking bad habits. But let me give this to you, Pat, since you asked. Okay, I'm gonna give you a little quick piece. Here's the thing. What a lot of us try to do is we try to quit something. right? Now think about this. If you're caught up in something in terms of a bad habit and you just want to quit, you want to go cold turkey. Cold turkey doesn't work well for most people, by the way. All right? Some of us can do it. You got to know yourself. But this is what I would suggest. What you have to do is you have to begin practicing moderation and scale back. And here's what it would look like. You're about to sit down and watch television. You might say, hey, I'm going to watch 1 hour television. If you know that you have a tendency, right? This is about self-awareness. You know you have a tendency to continue watching throughout the night. You need to set an alarm. Turn it on for 60 seconds, just 60 minutes, I'm sorry. Set that alarm and practice obeying yourself. Practice honoring your commitment. That alarm goes off, the TV goes off. And start practicing there, right? The scaling back. Scaling back. That's what I would say for that. Let's see what other questions we have.
To serve the public interest as a public trustee until December 1st, 2020. Our license.
All right, stepped on somebody's toes this morning.
We have filed
Uh-oh. Hopefully that's a good thing. Hopefully you're not mad. But again, if you are, sometimes that means I'm pointing in the right area.
Information concerning the station's performance.
Let's see what else is here. What else is here?
FCC of facts relating to our renewal.
Tony said, yeah, y'all function like babies. And then we cry. Take it easy on them, bro. Take it easy.
Further information
all right, let's see.
FCC's broadcast license renewal process
let's see
is
here.
Available via the station's
now that we have clarity, what's next? Oh, well, all right. So once you have clarity on the vision, hopefully it's written down. Right now that you have it written down. By the way, let me tell you all this. So I didn't say this on the air. Let me see how many pages of vision that I have. And by the way, this ain't straight text. I want to be clear. But my vision that I created over the last 6 weeks, 124 pages in a Microsoft Word document.
Learn more at
124 pages. Now, let me be clear. Some of them are pictures. Some of them are pages that are full of quotes. Okay. But in those 12 categories, I went very detailed. I've actually been working with one or two of my clients, helping them, with vision and moving forward using the same thing that I've used. And let me tell you, it's been powerful. And for those of you in Slay Your Goals, you're gonna see I'm gonna be bringing this to y'all. And don't let 124 pages scare you, okay? Because when you're creating something for yourself, think about that, right? You're creating your own life. That's probably not enough, okay? But it works. In the context of saying, hey, what will work? This works, all right? So I want to be clear that this is, it's not a hard process. It just takes some time to sit down and get focused on what it is that you want to create. And so that's what I would say. Then once you have that clarity, now you want to start setting it up in terms of goals. Okay, this is where we're going. Or what I might say is creating your strategic plan. All right. Let me see what there's any other questions here that I think we're coming back.
The views expressed on our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
Live from the Xfinity Studios at WVON.
We're your original social media.
You're listening to Inspirational Perspective with Linnell Harris on 1690, The Talk of Chicago.
About it, come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dreams. Now, inspiration. perspective.
All right, we're back. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linnell Harris, your very own life coach, right here on WBON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. All right, well, we're talking how to create your life's vision. Man, one of the most important subjects I think that we can have, because we are creators, and if you don't have a vision, you'll be given a vision. And I can go through quote after quote of the greats and the motivators to prove it. All right, so before we went to break, I talked about fear amending the vision. So we're creating a life vision, right? And many of us, we don't even give ourselves the opportunity to create audaciously. And the reason we don't is because as soon as we begin to think about, envision something audacious, our own inadequacies, our own lack of confidence, our own, like the poisons that have infiltrated us from this society begin to work on us and in many ways put static on the vision, right? You know, remember back in the day, for those of us, I'm gonna be 44, so I remember what it's like to run over to the television and adjust the antennas so you can get a better feed. You wanted a clear picture. Consider that fear, lack of confidence, questioning yourself. That's the interference. Richard Bach says, no man is given an idea. No man or woman is given an idea they cannot execute upon. And many of us, we just don't know our own capacity. We're completely unaware of our own capacity. And so the idea is that whatever we create in terms of a vision, we create it afraid. You create it afraid. I shared the example of leaving corporate America. And man, that vision scared me. I mean, I was petrified. I talked to some people since then, and they said, man, when you left, I thought you were crazy. What's wrong with this boy? He's achieved this level of success in the corporate arena, and he's walking away? What's wrong with him? But it was based on a vision. And let me tell you, man, now it's been 5 years. It's been 5 years. And I look back and I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. I'm filled with gratitude when I think about the life that God has allowed me to create based on that vision, based on the purpose he's given me. The life that he's allowed me to create, the opportunities and experiences I've had that have really given me a full life. Even now, in the middle of this pandemic, I was talking to a former colleague years ago who has given himself to the pursuit of success in corporate America. They were sharing with me, Linnell, I thought you were crazy, man, when you left. And it was like, now here I am, out of a job, really trying to figure things out. And I see you in many ways thriving. And I think, wow, man, how important it is to gain clarity on your purpose and gain clarity on the vision you have aligned with that purpose and what it will do to support you and move you forward. So I want you to think about something, right? Because if the idea is to create your vision afraid, let's get present. Let's get present to fear, right? Now, a lot of coaches don't like to do this, but we live in a perpetual state, many of us, of fear. And so you got to talk about it, right? And then those of us who don't live in a perpetual state of fear, every time we go to the next level, every time we look to move to the next level, the thing that begins to push us right in our chest back is fear. So what do we do with that? Well, let's think about it. Think about your fears previous to 2020. Like, think about it. Think about the things that you were afraid of last year this time. Think about the things that stopped you last year this time. Now think about this year. Think about how you've navigated this year with real fear in your space. Some of us, we can't go to the grocery store without being afraid of potentially what can happen. Right? Some of us, we can't step outside, depending on our neighborhood, without the fear of what could potentially happen. Right? I mean, in many ways, we're surrounded by fear. We've seen chaos. We've seen the markets crash, unlike anything we've experienced in the last 2 decades. We've seen uncertainty as the new normal. You know, we see that change is all around us, and we in many ways we are finding ourselves having to become comfortable, being uncomfortable in this landscape of change. Think about that. And then think about the things that stopped you just a year ago. See, we don't really know our capacity. And the idea of vision is to create something that you don't necessarily know how to do, but trust that on the journey, no matter what happens, no matter how afraid you might be, you will get there. I was talking to a client this past week. This client said, you know, I think I figured it out, Linnell. Fear was getting in my way. And now, instead of allowing fear to get in my way, I just envision myself on the other side of this pandemic. I'm going to be on the other side of this. I'll make it. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm going to make it. Told that client, I said, oh, now you're tapping into something. Not now you're tapping into something. See, because when you can see yourself on the other side, guess what will happen, creator? You will be on the other side. That's the kind of power we have. Another friend of mine just found out this week that he contracted COVID-19. I sent him a text. Said, man, I'm sending positive vibes your way and prayers your way, and I hope that you're okay. He wrote back, he said, I'm already good because God's got my back. I said, but how you really feeling? He wrote me back, said, I'm already good because God's got my back. Vision of being on the other side. Checked in with him yesterday, said, man, I'm feeling much better. But I believe it has a lot to do with his expectation and his vision of how he would go through it. And he's in phenomenal shape and takes care of himself. That helps. So moving forward and remaining powerful requires the same intentional action. The same intentional action that anything that you've created requires. You have to act according to your vision. What's your vision? And by the way, we all have this capacity, right? Let me tell you how it works. Right now on a very low level, right? And I don't mean to, play this, but on a lower scale, because this is a survival scale, right? And in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he breaks down how, the remedial parts of survival are the lower parts of the hierarchy. So when I say lower, that's what I mean. But on the lower scale, somebody's thinking to themselves, I need a new job. And that doesn't scare you because you've done that before. And you have a vision of, what kind of job you want. You might even set the expectation around salary. Man, I'm making $16 right now. If I can just make $20, if I can go somewhere, I can get a job for $20. This is what life would look like. And so you have a vision in your mind. You have a number in your mind. And many of us, what do? We go out and we create it. Why? Because you're acting according to your vision. Now let's back up. Let's back up a little bit. What if the same person said, I believe that it's time for me to step into a blessing. I want to make $40 an hour. I want to go from 16 to 40. Somebody out here might say, Linnell, now you're pushing it. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. See, because this is the type of creating I've done in my life. I've pushed past barriers, and I've done things with the power of vision that on paper shouldn't be done. I talked about it last week, being promoted from senior manager to director with no bachelor's degree. I was told, well, that can't be done. We don't do that. 8 months later, it happened. Power of vision. Right? And I can go down a list of examples. That's just one. That's just one. Another one. I see myself in a monogamous, successful and happy, passionate, romantic relationship. And I see that happening before the end of this year. The same person who, by the way, had a hard time creating that, but I see it. Put it in my mind's eye. I met my wife. This is how vision works. So what we want to do is we want to act according to the vision, act according to our goals, act according to our commitment. And then after that, you trust God, you stay focused. The focus part is hard, guys. Because once you have a vision, that's got to be the thing you're looking at. One of the commitments I made coming out of creating my life vision over the last 6 weeks is to spend 30 minutes a day looking over what I created for a vision. Like just kind of implanting it in my mind. And let me tell you, I've already seen tremendous results in my life. Just from that 6 weeks of creating vision. Tremendous results. Right? But now, let's go revisit it. Let's go revisit each category, health and well-being. Let's go revisit my character. Let's go revisit my love relationship. Let's go revisit these different aspects of my vision so I can continue to see it, to make sure it's in focus, right? Because I want it to be 4K HD, man. I want it to be that clear, because the clearer it is, the faster it comes. So how do we create a vision? Let's walk through it. How do we create a vision? Right now, you've been listening, you've been getting something out of this, man. This is the time to text that person you love. Say, hey, tune in. Hey, turn on WVON this morning. You don't want to miss this. Linnell Harris is about to walk through how to create our visions. On Facebook right now, this is where you want to share it and say, yo, you want to transform your life? You put this, if you don't know what to write, put the number one way to transform your life is to create a brand new vision. Listen, put that. So here's what we do. You have to start with the end in mind. Years ago, they used to say, hey, create what's your 10-year vision? The world's moving too fast for that now in the 21st century. I say don't go out any further than 5 years. Don't go out any further than 5 years. And then start with the end in mind. So what does it look like in 2025? What are you creating? How is your health and well-being? Are you in a relationship? If you're in a relationship, how does it feel to be with that person 5 years from now? What have you all created together? How deep is your love? What about your children? Legend be 8 years. He'd be 8 years old 5 years from now. Who will he be? What will he be doing? How will he be functioning? What would he have learned? Like all those things, you start with the end in mind. You start to put a picture to it, put an image to it. I can see him, kind of tall and lanky. He's a tall boy already. I can see him. I can see the picture of him. And you want to start asking yourselves better questions. Because one of the things is we don't ask ourselves good questions, which is why the vision stays blurry. How does my life purpose materialize in the next 5 years? You might say, well, Linnell, I don't know my life's purpose. All right, keep tuning in. Keep tuning in. Here's the other thing. What is it that I want? The scriptures say that God will give you the desires of your heart. But many of us don't even know what the desires are. You don't even know what you really, really, really want. And I guarantee you it's not at the Gucci store or it's not at Louis Vuitton. That's not what you really want. That's what you've been told you want. It's not there though. But what do you really want? Are you looking for a sense of fulfillment? Are you looking for a deeper love in your relationship? Are you looking for more connection with your children? Like, what do you really, really, really want? What do you want? Write that down. What do I really, really want? Another way to ask this question is, what is my deepest desire? What is my deepest desire? When I look at my family and I'm watching my son grow, one of my deepest desires, I tell my wife this all the time. She's like, man, you miss so much, Linnell. And I think and I look at her and I say, I miss more than you. But man, what if I was in corporate America? What would I miss? Oh my goodness. But then I say, but I don't want to miss that much in the future. So how do I begin to transform my work where I can be more at choice? I'm going to tell you now, man, the next 5 years, I won't be one-on-one coaching like this. That's not part of the vision, right? You'll be a part of a collective. If you're not getting one-on-one coaching now, if I'm doing it, it's going to be for a few people at a much higher price. You've been putting it off. I'm telling you this, and this is not a commercial. This is just my vision. All right. This is my vision. I want to spend much more time with my family. What do you want? What do you deeply desire? And then what is the impact on your desire? Here's the other question. What is the impact of your desire on other people? See, because here's the other thing. When I think about my life's purpose and the vision I have for my life, the vision I have for my work, then I begin to say, oh man, if I take my work to this level, look at the impact it has on people. Look at the impact that my purpose begins to have. And then here's another question. What result are you after? Like, what's the consequence of all this? What's the outcome? I know for me, the outcome, I told you, man, spending a lot more time with my family, having the opportunity to escape maybe a month at a time, just to go on experiences. I imagine 5 years from now when Legends out of school, summertime, it'd be like, what country do you want to go to? What are we going to learn? School doesn't end, but school isn't in the classroom. We're going to go to different countries and learn about those countries, learn about the environment, learn about the ecology of that country, the animals. He loves animals. Spend time in the museums, just learning about history. But creating those type of, that's what I see. And then here's the thing, notice the specificity of the vision. Like, I'm sharing pieces and parts of my vision, but notice the specificity. Like I see my wife and I taking romantic excursions, different parts of the world. You know, she's probably gonna be like, what? But I can imagine us waking up out in the middle of the desert in a tent, you know, with other people there around us to support us, but just her and I, just there to get to know each other. Maybe we traveled in by a camel, but just a beautiful experience that we won't ever forget, being with each other. I see that. I see the opportunity to create those type of experiences for me and for my family. So I want you to notice generalizing. Notice the specificity. Because what happens when you create a vision, if you generalize, you begin to confuse the brain. I've used this example before. But you say, well, Linnell, I want more money. Okay, well, that's general. And what happens is you don't even realize many of us are fulfilling on visions that we've cast and don't even realize we fulfilled on the vision. Because you can say today, hey, I want more money. Somebody comes over and says, hey, man, I owe you $20. Just hit me today. Said, make sure I give you this money back. Boom, vision fulfilled. You thinking, well, I cast a vision, it's still out there. Nah, it's been fulfilled. You weren't specific. You said you wanted more money, and guess what? You got more. You got $20 more in your wallet. And this is what happens all the time. And this is why many of us don't realize that we're creators, because we're not creating with clear specifics. This is what it will look like. So that way, when it happens, you can't do anything but sit back and get grateful. Like, God, you good. I think this is another reason why so many of us lack a deep sense of gratitude, because you're not seeing what you're creating in your life, because you're overgeneralizing. I want another car. And then, you get another car and somebody, oh, you got a new car? Yeah, it'll do. It gets me from A to B. What is it that you really desire? So you want to be specific. What's your vision? If you're just joining us this morning, the topic is how to create your life's vision. What's your vision? Now, here's the other thing that's important, because you want to know where you are in contrast to that vision. I talk about this all the time in coaching, but the number one part of coaching, the first part of coaching is awareness. Awareness. Bringing awareness to who you are, where you are, and what's happening in your life. Awareness. One of the things I do with my first clients, had a new client start this week, and we had a deep, I'm sure they get off the phone thinking, wow, this is coaching, because it was an emotional conversation, but part of the conversation was bringing awareness to the client around the lens they use when they think and how they see the world. They're like, wow, I didn't know I saw things that negatively. I didn't know I was coupled in many ways, arrested by this way of thinking, and it was emotional for them. But guess what? They got awareness. They got something many people don't have. They have something they didn't have before that. Awareness. Where are you right now? Like, for real, where are you right now? Look at your life. Look at what you've created already. By the way, you created that. You did that. You can try to blame other people. You can point at other people. You can look at your spouse. You can point at your spouse. You can say it's the man, whoever that is. But in the end, ultimately, we create our circumstances. Look around. Look at what you've created. That's yours. Where are you right now? Where are you? Like, get real clear on it. Some of you right now, you go through this exercise, you might not want to take full ownership of it, but this is the practice, man. You got to take ownership, because you got to know where you are right now if you really want to create what's next. Someone else, you might be looking around, you might actually be surprised. Wow, I'm doing pretty good. Oh, look at this home. Wow. Look at the kind of car I drive. I'm blessed. See, because the thing is, many of us, we're not even aware of how powerful we are and what we've done on autopilot. Imagine if you come off default setting and get intentional, what you could create with God's help. Imagine. And then here's the other thing. As you gain clarity on where you are right now, and you begin to look at that vision, remember, right now, whatever you see is a dream. And dreams are wonderful. Dreams are great. But remember, a dream doesn't become a vision until it's written down. See, a dream doesn't become a vision until it's written down. I was sharing on the break how the vision I created, I took 6 weeks to create, 124 pages written down. Now, not all text, some of it pictures, some of it titles, some of it quotes. Take up the whole page, but it's written down. See, because I don't want to just be a dreamer. Nah, I want to be a visionary. I want to be a visionary. I want to be someone that when I look back over my life, I'm like, man, it's incredible. And I know that God's had his hand on my life, because I know by myself I just couldn't do it. That's the kind of life I want to live. That's the kind of life we all should be living. So when you write down your vision, make your vision as real as possible. And why is this important? Because remember, your vision takes up 50% of the capacity of your mind. Started the show with that. 50%. And so as you write down your vision, you want to have these emotional cues that stimulate the brain. It makes the subconscious mind believe the vision is real. Let me explain this. So, the thing about the subconscious mind is that it doesn't know what's real. It has no idea. It thinks it knows, but for the most part, it doesn't know. And this is one of the reasons why television, the things that we hear, are so important. I think I don't know if I shared this on the show. I might have shared it with a client or on a Monday coaching series. By the way, you can join me on the coaching series every Monday, free coaching, by going to LonellHarris.com and registering. But so your subconscious is incredibly powerful when it comes to your vision. My wife and I, we did a little getaway here in Chicago. Booked a really beautiful hotel downtown, and a couple of weeks ago. And one of those nights, you know, her and I were just sitting up talking and fell asleep. Television on in the background. I woke up and I saw the television on. And man, my heart dropped. You might say, well, why would your heart drop just because the television's on? Because right away, I got concerned about what was planted in my subconscious and my wife's subconscious while we slept. Because that the voice of the television, the imagery of the television was going. My mind's still working. I know that. And I don't want anything to interfere with my vision. I don't want anything. Right away, I'm like, man, I wonder, okay, I got to watch. I got to watch for where I might stumble in the next week, because that could be a part of subconsciously what got planted. The subconscious mind, you all, is constantly absorbing things. And this is what puts us on autopilot. You might have driven somewhere, in the car right now, listening to the radio. Your mind is on your vision and not the road. How are you driving? Subconscious. The subconscious has you driving. Subconscious knows how to change lanes and how to stop at stop signs and how to stop at red lights. It can do those things. And so if it can get you, the subconscious mind can get you from A to B on a road, you have to know the subconscious mind can get you from A to B in your vision. And so what do? We start to program the subconscious mind. That's why I have images in my vision book, right? I have images. I took pictures. One of the pictures I have is of my wife and I in Greece for the quality of life area. We're in Greece, her and I, standing on a hilltop in Santorini with the landscape behind us. Because when I think about quality of life, I think about going beautiful places with my wife, having beautiful experiences with my wife. And so I put that picture there. Why? Plant it in the subconscious mind and say, hey, this is the quality of life that you're looking to create. This is the quality of life that you're looking to ratchet up even more. So what's in your subconscious mind? How are you creating? Many of us, we're afraid because we watch scary movies. Many of us, we're sad and depressed because we watch sad and depressing drama. You're just playing out what's in your subconscious. All you got to do is maybe create a new picture. Start programming your subconsciously differently, and all of a sudden your life becomes different. That's the power of the subconscious mind. Napoleon Hill calls it autosuggestion in the book Think and Grow Rich. He says, whatever you begin to put your mind on, wherever you begin to plant your mind and whatever you begin to see in your mind's eye, the mind will go create it for you. Let me prove it to you. How many of you bought a car? You go to an auto dealership, you buy a car. And let's say you buy this car and, you never really seen this car on the road before. You pull out the dealership as you're driving home. Maybe you got a 30-minute ride home. All of a sudden, you see this car everywhere. Was the car there before? Was it there before? Did that many people have the car before? Or did everybody just buy the car when you did? It's the subconscious mind. Because now you see a vision of the car in your mind, you can see it everywhere else. And so what we want to do is we want to start stimulating the subconscious mind, programming the subconscious mind on purpose. I'm going to tell you guys something. When I have a bad habit, when there's something I want to get rid of, something I want to rewrite, first thing I do is go towards the subconscious mind. All right, let's start programming the mind. And as we begin to stimulate the brain with images of what it is that we want to create, the vision we want to have, that's what produces emotion. And emotion is incredibly powerful. The etymology of the word emotion is derived from two words, energy and motion. Your emotional connection to a goal is what provides you the focus and energy to pursue that goal. Steve Jobs has a quote, and he says, you want to create a vision so powerful that it pulls you forward. Think about that. To create a vision so clear, so powerful, that instead of having to push, the vision pulls you forward. But do you know yourself this morning? And this matters because a vision is difficult to create if you don't know your drivers. See, because the other thing is now you have the vision, but now you got to attach your drivers. What are your drivers? Your drivers are your intrinsic motivations, the things that really matter to you. And so when you know your intrinsic motivations, then you begin to attach them. Here are the things that are important to me. Right? There's certain things that aren't important to me. I already know it. Type of car I drive. Yeah, I want a nice car. Let's be clear. I want a nice car. But once I have a nice car, I don't have to have, a perfect example. This client's probably listening. They're going to chuckle. I have a client that loves cars. Loves them. It's one of his drivers. Okay? That's something that motivates him. And so I have two clients like this. And both of them have about 4 to 5 cars. They love cars. They love cars. That's their thing. That's one of their drivers. It motivates them. To set a reward as a car is a driver. If I create this vision, I get a car, they're driven. That's not my driver. My intrinsic driver, oh man, give me a trip somewhere. Like the next thing I want to do is scuba dive in the Galapagos. That gets me. That's a driver. What are your drivers? What will motivate you to go after the vision in the short term? All right, so here's how we start. We know how to create the vision now. Here's how we start. You start with a clear vision. And if you don't have a clear vision, then one of the things you can ask yourself is, what's possible? What's possible in my health and well-being? What's possible in the area of relationship? What's possible in career? What's possible in my finances? What's possible in my pursuit of purpose? In my alignment with God's purpose for my life? What's possible in my spirituality? In my alignment and connection to God through spirit? What's possible? And then you create the vision in a way in those areas that is mentally and emotionally compelling. And let me be clear about this. At this point in my life, it's not about me anymore. It's about the vision. It's about the vision. I wake up, what's the vision? What's the vision? Health and well-being is a part of the vision. That's where I come in. Okay, this is what I need to do for me to create the vision. Then this is what I have to do. A vision, and I want you to think about this. A vision is a picture of the future that creates passion inside of you. Let me say that again. A vision is a picture of the future that you have in your mind's eye that creates passion inside of you. So now, when you think about this vision, man, something just lights up inside of you, like a flame gets started. And why is that important? Why is that important? That a vision is a picture of the future that creates a passion inside of you, because reflection and vision are functions of the heart. See, because you think you're doing it with your eye and your mind. Nah, like when you're creating a vision, what's happening is you're creating that vision from the heart. Reflection and vision are functions of the heart. And this is why, like, desire is so important. Like, what is it that you desire? Where is your heart set? And let me tell you, man, it doesn't matter. This here is universal. Because a person can be relative evil. And if the desire of their heart is to create evil, and that drives a passion inside of them, they can create that. See, this is where a lot of us, we like, well, what about the Lord? What does God want? And he's given us this awesome responsibility as creators. And let me tell you, you got people out here who are creating things that are not good for us. They're not good for us. Already, people are questioning what's happening with the election. Already, people are questioning what's happening with the vaccines for the coronavirus. Already, why? Because you know that people have evil visions. And that there's passion behind that vision, and they're doing everything that they can to create it. And so here you are. Here you are, child of God, scared to create your vision. You better get on top of it. The world needs you. We need you to create that vision. Here's the other thing. Well, let me finish this thought. Reflection and vision are functions of the heart. Strategy to create the vision is a function of a clear mind. Is your mind clear this morning? Many of us, we can't be strategic because we're weighed down by trauma. We haven't done the healing. We haven't done the healing. We haven't done the healing. You have to heal this morning. It's one of the things that's getting in the way of your vision. The trauma of the past, the pain of the past. Because you can't create a powerful future if the past is unresolved. Why? Because strategy is a function of a clear mind. Strategy is a function of a clear mind. Is your mind clear? And then here's how it goes, guys. I learned this years ago from a gentleman named Jeff Childs. And he shared with us the change formula. And this is where vision shows up in the change formula. Write this down. Write this down. I'm going to say it twice. Write it down. C equals V plus D plus F is greater than R. You say it one more time. Just write it down. Write it down. I'm going to explain what it means. C equals V plus D plus F is greater than R. This is something that really, really got me years ago when I was still in corporate America. I learned this from a former CHRO and leader and my boss as well. Let me say it one more time. C equal V plus D plus F is greater than R. What does it mean? The C is for change. Change equals vision. Vision right up front. You want to change, you got to have a vision. Change equals vision plus dissatisfaction with the current state. Let me tell you something. My wife has been wanting a house for a while. My baby, I want a new house. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't dissatisfied. I wasn't dissatisfied. I was like, you want a new house, another mortgage, man, Financially, like, my mom was just somewhere else. Like, hey, let's do this over here. And then recently, I've been thinking about our family and what it is I want to do and creating this vision. And then when I think about the house, I'm like, I'm grateful. I'm content. But it's also a level of dissatisfaction. There's certain things I'm dissatisfied with now. And all of a sudden, boom. Vision plus dissatisfaction. So change equals vision plus dissatisfaction with the current state. Right? So change is C equals V, which is vision, plus D for dissatisfaction with the current state, plus the first step. F is for the first step, the plan. Must be greater than R, which is the resistance to change. You want to change. You have to have a vision. You got to be dissatisfied with your current state. You have to have a plan. And all of that has to be greater than the resistance to change. Otherwise, you'll stay right where you are. Because as soon as you try to change, guess what shows up? Resistance. Resistance. All right. So let's finish this out. And hopefully you guys have that down. Okay? I can put it in Facebook later. Okay. James Allen said, we become what we think about. Earl Nightingale said, let me tell you the strangest secret, that men become what they think about. Napoleon Hill said that wherever your thoughts go, you are right behind. As a man thinketh. I've talked about this. We become what we think about. So when we think about vision, the other thing we had to talk about is this morning, what do you think about? Like what occupies the territory of your mind? What do you think about? Are you intentional about those thoughts? Consider how puny we are as human beings, right? I've talked about this before. Like how puny we are in the grand scheme of the species that roam the earth. And as humans, we're among the weakest physically of most living creatures. We're among the slowest of most living creatures. We're among the most defenseless of most living creatures. We have the weakest senses among most mammals. Other mammals have better eyesight. They have better hearing. They have a keen sense of smell. So how is it that human beings prevail? The answer, our ability to think. Our ability to imagine the unseen and then create it. One of my colleagues was telling me about this show on Netflix called Alone, and how these people go out into the Arctic cold with nothing. I think they get to take 10 items and they build something to survive. And he's telling me how in the first part of the series, first thing they do is when they get there, they kind of, every last one of them scout out their terrain and they're sharing their thought processes, what they're thinking. Okay, I need to live here. I need to do that. I need to set traps over here for animals. They're thinking. This is what sets us apart. So if thinking is what sets us apart as human beings, consider what sets you apart from someone else is how you're thinking. How are you thinking? What sets you apart from people like Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, Bill Gates, the billionaires in the world? What sets you apart? It's how you think. It's the questions you ask yourself. It's how you think. And then think about this. Since we're thinking now, in a world that is quickly evolving to understand you better than you know yourself. Think about that. Why? How is it knowing you better than you know yourself? Because every time you push something on that phone, a new app, a new place, another Google search, it's sending data. This is this person. This is who this person is. This is what they're concerned about. This is what they're thinking about. In a world that is trying to understand you better than you know yourself, you better know your vision. You better know your vision. Because if you don't, they will disrupt it. They will disrupt you. Years ago, the radio was able to capture our ears, and we started listening. They say that's the Greek way of being. The ear, the Greeks activated the ear. They activated the ear. Get this one. For those of us who, like to call ourselves Hebrews and those of African descent, our Hebrew brethren, they believed in activating the eye and the power of the eye Well, what's activated the eye? Then the television came along. And the television came along and it captured the eye. So the Greeks believed the ear was significant. The Hebrews believed the eye was significant. Both have been taken. The television has taken the eye. The radio, the internet, podcast has taken the ear. And the internet, through the introduction of social media, has provided the medium that can capture our minds. And now they're compiling data to predict our behavior. They want to know your thoughts before they even take place. And in this new world, if you're not driven by your own unique vision for your life, if you're not driven by a deep passion and purpose, if you're not driven by something that can disrupt the flow that they're trying to create, something that will have you pull away and say, nope, I'm in charge. I got a direction. If you're not there, they are trying to take full control of your eyes, your ears, and your mind. You don't got to believe it. You don't have to believe it. Google, Facebook, Microsoft, they're looking to serve as deliberate means of mental inception in your life. And I'm telling you this morning, it's imperative that you clearly understand, that we collectively understand and know and can articulate the vision that we have for this life. It's imperative, because if you're not setting the vision this morning, if you're not setting your vision, I can guarantee you that you are playing out the vision of someone else. And by the way, someone else that if you got to know, you probably wouldn't even like. Someone else you wouldn't even want to be friends with. They are planting a vision in your mind. Buy this. Do that. Say this. Think this. Because you haven't taken the time. You haven't taken the time to take full control by creating your vision. Marianne Williamson, the author and former author and coach, and formerly just ran for president. She said, you playing small does not serve the world. It doesn't serve the world for you to play small. She's also the author of the quote that says, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. Are you ready to execute on that power? Are you ready to push past that fear and create a vision for your life that is mentally and emotionally compelling? Who's running your show this morning? Are you running the show? What vision is hidden inside of me? What vision is hidden inside of you? And will you embrace it? Will you conjure up the courage to step out on faith and truly become the creator God intends for you to be? Truly take the time to craft a vision. To craft a vision that is so compelling, so that you're so passionate about that it just moves every fiber in your being. So compelling that when we talk about self-discipline, you're ready. You're ready to disrupt your norm. You're ready to stop what it is you've been doing. You're ready to go to the next level because you got to get to that vision. Don't let anyone else determine your vision this morning. Don't let a man do that. Men are behind these vehicles, Microsoft, Google, Facebook. Men are behind. Don't let a man disrupt your vision. This morning, look to God. Look to your creator. distinguish your purpose, and step into your rightful place as a creator. Step into your rightful place as a creator and create a vision that produces a resounding impact on this world. Create a vision that creates a resounding impact on this nation. Create a vision that creates a resounding impact on the cities around the globe, the people all over the world. Create a vision that creates a resounding impact on me, my family, my son. But most importantly, yourself. God bless you this morning. I hope and pray that something I said seeped deep inside of you and plants a seed that starts to grow. We need more visionaries. We need more visionaries in this world. So much chaos. We need creators. You've been listening to Inspirational Perspective. My name is Linnell Harris, your host and life coach, right here on WVON 1690 AM, The Talk of Chicago. Be a creator, be a visionary. Create your vision this morning. Be blessed. See you guys next week. All right, that's the show, you all. Thank you all for joining, man. If this hits you in a place that matters, man, share it. This is one of those things, man, that people need to hear. I mean, they just need to know. Because this is where it all starts. You talk about personal development, this is where it starts. With your vision. Craft that vision, recraft the vision. If you have it written down, and take the time to look at it today, look at it this week, and recraft that vision and pour in what you got out of today's show. I love you guys. I really do. Thank you for the support. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow on the free coaching webinar. Until then, be blessed.